found no slipping shoes tied. No, I'm not tripping. I tried breaking addictions. No lie, playback slipping in my mind. Spirits doing overtime. It's cracks I cannot deny. You see, he heard every cry. On him, trust I can rely. My limits beyond the sky. Come on and let's strategize. Calling on the most high. In me, it's just like fire. Draw me near, Lord, I'm here. Wipe away every tear. Only you I shall fear. Be my view, nice and clear. Be the drum in my ear. So your word I can hear. Leave my view in the rear with the thoughts of last year. With your blood, I am new. For there will be no proof. Hello and welcome to Let's Talk with Victory. I'm Leisha Lee. To our viewers, we want you all today to not tune in because you're tuning in, but we want you all to like, share, and comment. We want to know what your ideas or your thoughts are on the topics that we have today. Before we jump into the topics, we want to welcome our guests today, missionary in training Cherie and evangelist Felicia. Welcome to you both. Thank you for joining us today. And ladies, today's topic is, have the roles of a woman in today's society changed? Do y'all think they changed? I think they changed a little bit, but I want to know what y'all think. Y'all think they changed? No?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. As time evolves, people do as well. And so things have changed a lot where, we know our parents, our grandparents were like mostly stay at home and grandmas and things like that. They didn't have jobs. So if they did, they were lower paying jobs and they had to come home and, do what they needed to do for their families. But today's woman is on the move, raising your kids, going to school, taking care of home, taking care of husband. Even if you're a single mom, you're on the move, you're on the go. Nothing can stop you from life still moving forward. So you just kind of roll with it. Back then it was, you stay at home, do what you're supposed to do, and that's just that.
Okay. Now, in the area of marriage, do you all think that is it biblical for a woman to propose to a man? And the Bible does say, he that finds a man, he that finds a wife. He that finds a wife, not she that finds a husband. Do you all think that it's biblical for a woman to propose to a man?
Well, you just said it.
I was going to say, my opinion. Absolutely not. And because of the scripture that you said, that it says a man that finds a wife finds a good thing. And I believe that when we take things out of order, out of context, like a lot of us have done, it places the man in the wrong position. And so therefore it is imperative that we allow a man to be a man. So that he understands that that's his covering of us when he comes to choose you. Because when that doesn't happen, it's almost as if you're forcing a man to do something. And that's something as a woman, as a wife, that we have learned. I know many of us have learned. You never, ever force a man to do something that he's not ready to do, because it takes away from him in so many aspects. It makes him do something out of character that he is not positioned and he's not mentally ready for. And then it disturbs the whole family.
Okay. Any other thoughts? Or
I was going to say, oftentimes, you may hear a female say, well, my man's not doing anything, or because, sis, you did everything already. So you've taken his surprise mechanism or his position away from him to be able to, brain is frozen today. You took his position away for him to be able to cater to you, or do those things that he may have naturally done because you've done everything. In terms of dating and courting, even before marriage, like a lot of times, a lot of females, instead of them waiting to be asked on a date or what have you, they plan the whole date, and then get mad if the man say, I don't want to do that. Well, you're positioning yourself to not allow the man to be able to woo. That's the word. to woo you. That's the word. Yes. Thank you, Holy Ghost. You're taking that away.
okay. Well, what if so is that biblical as far as the dating? Like, is the man supposed to like plan or prepare all the dates?
I don't think he has to plan them all, but if he's pursued you and you all are in agreement that that's what you're going to do, I don't think it's wrong for a woman every now and then to say, hey, can we try this or can we try that? Because some men will do the same thing all the time, over and over. Like, I don't want to keep going to the same place all the time. You know, I want some variety
That's why we're their
sometimes.
helpmate.
Right.
So we can help them to decide on something different, because a lot of men are routine.
Very.
And that's okay. It's not a bad thing, but that's why we are their helpmate. And what I was going to say is, women have become so liberated and so strong, and we've had to do it alone for so long that we forget that we are still a feminine woman. We are still a woman who wants to be cared for, who wants to be nurtured, who wants to be loved, romanced. So when we're not getting that, sometimes you feel like you have to go get it yourself. I'm not married and I'm not going to get it, because I think that I'm worth somebody saying, hey, you want to go out with me?
Yeah.
Hey, you want to, I might not be this person's type, but I'm somebody's type.
Right.
That's going to look at me and say, she's worth me pursuing. I'm not pursuing anybody to pick me.
Right.
And when you said about dating, is that biblical? I don't even remember anybody dating in the Bible. So I haven't read the entire Bible, but I've read most of it, and I don't remember anybody dating. I don't remember anybody saying, hey, let's go on a date. It was just like, let me go to your father, you going with me.
Right.
And that's just the way that it was. But again, that still did not say that the woman was like, hey, pick me, I'm right here. And in the cases where that did happen, either she got killed or she got hurt or she got raped in the Bible. So no, it's not your job as a woman to go and choose your man. When a man finds a wife, you're already wife material. So that's what you need to focus your mind on anyway. The man finds a wife so that he can become a husband.
Okay. Go ahead. We
Okay.
want to hear what you got to say.
All right, so I have two takes on this. I don't agree. Biblically, no, I don't agree. Now, where I am now, I don't agree that you should propose to a man or you should pursue a man or you should do any of that. However, I will be transparent and say that I did propose to my husband. Now, did I get on my knee? Now, did I? No, I did it because I wanted to be different. At that time, I didn't know the word of God like I know it now. I didn't. I wasn't. And what I will say is none of the Christians, none of the believers, nobody where we were said that we were wrong. Okay? Marcus already had talked to his family, my family, whatever, and we were going to get married. He was going to propose to me. I just wanted to do something different. I don't regret it, but I don't want my children to do it because I know what's right. So the thing is that some people at the state they are in, they don't know what to do.
Okay.
Right now, I was never going to get on my knee, okay? But because I'm not a man, and I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like there's some things men do, some things women do.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a line, but some people do it because they don't know what to do, and it's our job to teach them. It's our job to teach their children. It's our job. Some people are saying, "Wow, now they're clutching their pearls" because they've never heard that from me. But my children will never do it.
Now,
You know.
But see,
now
I
it's,
think that's
go
so
ahead, go ahead.
indicative of where the culture is now. Like, we don't have a lot of good role models or Christians that are willing to stand up and say that's out of order or that's not the biblically prescribed way of doing things. So it's so much more common now. We see women doing that. And I think it's because of some things we already addressed, like women stepping up and playing multiple roles in their own lives. If they're their own head of households, they have successful careers in science, math, technology, where most of our grandmothers and mothers were domestics or admins. You know, you have women that are filling roles that are traditionally male. So then in the culture, in society, you're going to see people continue to try to subvert those roles and no longer have the woman be in a woman's place and a man in a man's.
Well, that's where it comes in when you are in a role where you in corporate America, where you having to tell people what to do, when you being a boss all day, you want to come home and be submissive. I'm tired of telling people what to do all day.
Right, but some women are tired of telling people what to do all day and are really comfortable being in that head, in that leadership, and in that authoritative space, so much so that they try to run their man. I think that's the thing. A man has to feel needed. If there's no place for him, not saying that he has to make, we can get into the salary thing in a minute, but like, he has to have a purpose. He has to have a need. And he has to know that you need him. You might have all the money in the world, home, this or that, but if there's no space for him, if you haven't been able to create for him something that he can identify that you need him for, then he has no purpose for you.
It's about balance. Nitras, when you were saying, like, you go to work, traditionally we go to work. We're management, you're executive. Even if you're just, the lead call center representative, you're telling people what to do all day long. Excuse me. That does not, you have to find balance. That's at work.
Right.
When you come home, you're somebody's wife.
Right.
You're not the boss. You don't tell people what to do. You tell the children what to do. Right. And if you don't find balance, then you're always going to get those roles mixed up. And that's what happens. In our lives, we intertwine everything, and we don't have any kind of balance, so we end up bleeding over everything. We bleed work into home. We bring home, somebody stressed us out at work, everybody at home is going to get that stress. Somebody stressed us out at home, we take it to work. Now we hollering at the people at work. There's no balance because we don't know our role, because for so long, we've been headstrong and had to do it alone or on our own terms, or the way that we know how, the best way that we can figure it out. So we don't have any balance, and that's why you feel okay that I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna tell this man he want me and I want him.
And then people teleworking now, so it's overlapping like I don't know what.
So, okay, so we said it's not biblical for the woman to propose, but is it wrong necessarily?
I think it's a matter of opinion. My opinion is it's wrong. Not even about biblical. I mean, biblical, of course, it's improper. It's not the right way. But as a woman, you should want to be chosen. You should know your worth enough that somebody should come to you.
Now, what if the man and woman have had that conversation, the conversation of marriage or getting married, or like when they want to join? I was about to say
And then
join
you
forces,
wait.
like we watching
And
Marvel.
but see, I think
And
that's
then you
what.
wait.
But see, but I think that's the thing. A lot of people won't wait. So a lot of times, like if you look at these stories, it's that they've been in a relationship and
Yeah.
she's waiting on him to do it. He won't do it. So then she jumps the gun and proposes to him. You want people,
And then that emasculates him.
emasculates.
It
completely.
emasculates him, and then he is not ready. We have seen so many examples of women who have asked the man, excuse me, y'all, my asthma is horrible today, have asked the man to marry them. They've done it too soon, and then they end up going through all of this turmoil in the beginning that they didn't have to, because one of two things: either he wasn't going to marry you because he wasn't ready, which is fine. He's not ready to be a husband. Doesn't mean he's not ready to be a man. He's just not ready to be a husband. And you can't make a man a husband. Absolutely. Second thing, you rushed it. It might have been, but it's just about timing. If he wasn't ready to do it then, it doesn't mean that he won't be ready. You have to watch and just, make sure that this is really what you want to do too. Because you're so busy rushing, just because you've been in a relationship for 5 or 10 years, not me. You've been in a relationship for 5 or 10 years with somebody and y'all are talking about marriage, and then you're like, okay, it's year number 9, and
That's a whole nother.
what are we doing?
link.
That's a whole different situation, one that I will not subscribe
I concur.
to. But it's to each his own, if that's what you choose to do, because some people are meant to be together, but if it's not time to be married, because I don't want to marry somebody and I'm really not ready to be a wife, or he's really not ready to be my husband, because then I'm going to be a widow or divorced.
I definitely agree. And a lot of times when women or young women rush into pushing a man to marry them or taking the initiative to say, I'm going to propose because he's not doing it, what you're causing, 2 things you're causing. Number one is you are telling that man, hey, you are not taking the initiative, so I'm going to overpower you. So you're minimizing his, not authority necessarily, but you're minimizing his role as a man. Secondly, a lot of times when women do that, they're not physically and mentally ready for themselves. They are just not emasculated, but they are infatuated, that's the word. They're infatuated with just the idea of getting married. The dress, the day, the event. But what they don't realize is that Marriage is much more than just that event. And then when they push it and they get into that atmosphere of what truly marriage is, then they're overwhelmed. But it's not supposed to be like this. Well, girlfriend, we were trying to tell you what you said, Shantae, to wait. Because now you pushed it and you're not equipped to handle what truly marriage is all about.
And how does that man feel being surprised you on your knee proposing to him and he's sitting there looking like, oh my goodness. You know, like how is
That
he
probably is
like
what he's
you what is your mindset when you get on your knee? Like you not expecting him to turn you down and embarrass you in front of all these people. Like what is
So that's what I was about to say.
So then what, he got to embarrass you privately?
Men,
Help me.
men should be able to say yes or no. You know, I've asked Marcus before, like, do you feel, I mean, since then, so many things have happened, okay? But he's like, I didn't feel no kind of way because I know I was about to do it. You don't make me do anything I don't want to do. So, and of course, again, I told you I wasn't on my knee. I don't know anybody who has proposed to a man. So I can't give you from knowing them. But I do think that there are things that we as women should let the men do. We shouldn't push them, rush them into anything. It's even, you know, like even when you're married and say you want to get another house, you need to let the man, you know, you don't need to be pushing for certain things and pushing for this, and you wind up in a house you can't stand, and he was trying to tell you all along because he is the head. I do feel like, no, you should wait. And of course I have, you know, we have 5 daughters. So yes, I do feel, one of which is married and waited, you know, so I do feel like you should wait because in the instance, a man could say something he doesn't want to say. But I feel also that if the man does not want to marry you, he should be honest enough to say, I don't, I love you, I want to be with you, but I don't want to marry you at this point. Because you
Now,
know, right.
yeah, because
Now, should you go ahead?
I was gonna say, because during that process, what we have to understand is, a lot of us tapped on it, is that we have to wait. And when you wait through that process, that time is allotted for you from God for you to totally prepare for it. Because preparation is key, because you think because you've been there in 5, whatever, how many years, you automatically think, oh, I'm marriage material, I'm ready. And it goes so beyond that day of the wedding day. You know, it's so much bigger than that moment. And I've always heard this saying, I don't know if it's biblically, I doubt if it is, but I've always heard this saying that you think you know a person, but that day that you say I do, you begin to learn them all over again. And I know it in my life. It's evident.
I know it in mine too.
It's evident. It's like things that were covered are now being seen. You know, those things that were a mystery to you, because certain things, when you do it right, certain things are supposed to be hidden from you, so that when you go into the marriage, it's a new thing. And it's not you saying, oh, when we're dating, I'm a wife already. I'm already doing all this. Well, you shouldn't be. You shouldn't be. There's certain things that you should not do. It's things that we want to do because we're a woman, because it's in us, because we're that helpmate, because we're that person that says, oh, yes, this is what I want to do. I want my man to feel everything, because the purpose of it is, for us, is I want him to know that I'm good. I want him to know that I'm the best, that he can't get nobody else out there. So it's something in us that says, oh, I'm going to outdo all these ladies. So we give our all, not knowing that that's not what we're supposed to do. It's supposed to be them looking at you and saying, man, there's something different about that woman. And then in that moment, they choose you. In that moment. But then they have to go through the process to say, because we take it away from them, so they have to go through that process to say, oh, this is the woman that I want. I know I'm not ready, so let me prepare. So we have to give them that time, because if we don't, it's going to be a disaster.
You said something so amazing, and that's what I've been wanting to say this whole time. We live like we're married for so long before we are actually a wife or a husband, and so we think that it's automatically due to us. So when you're in a relationship, you're in a relationship for 2 or 3 years, and again, let's go back to what the Bible says. When a man finds a wife, that's already who we are. So we're doing things because mentally that's who we were prepared to be. Go ahead.
And sometimes when women or the woman is complaining about he's not doing this, he's not doing that, it's because you're doing all the things. So
Right.
if you're living as his wife already, why does
Why?
he need to
Why? What the old
propose
people
to
used
you?
to
Why
say,
does he?
why buy the cow when you
You
get the
you
milk for
already
free?
get it for free.
And it's so true.
Yeah.
You don't understand those things until you get older, because you hear people saying it when you're younger, and you're like, these people are nuts. But they are telling you in their own way, in their own language, wait. It's okay to wait, because guess what? If you wait, you might find out that you're not for him and he's not for you. And it's okay. And like you said, I believe a man and a woman know who it is. They know if they want to marry you. When they see you, when they meet you, they know if they want to marry you. Whether it takes 4 years, 20 minutes, 3 hours for them to ask you to marry them, they know. Any one of us up here can sit here and say, when you see a man, you say, if that's the person who you're in a relationship with, I can marry him. You know that. And I feel the same way that a man does the exact same thing, that he knows it might just take him some time to get there, because men think they plan. They got to plan it out. I can't just say, oh, I'm going to marry her. No, because I got to get my bills straight. I want to do this with kids. I want to do this with my work. I got to do this and I got to do that. But as a woman, mentally, we're already programmed to be the wife. So we know. We didn't lay out our future when we were 6.
No, I will say it is something that that pastor said one day in one of his sermons. He said, if you meet a man and you see his stature and how he is, can you decide from that moment, if he never changes, will you still be with him? Will you still want to be with this man? If he never changes, if he stays the same as he is, like if he never grows, if he never like push you to grow, like if he just stay who he is from the moment you met him, well, could you stay with him?
And that's why you got to
Will
wait.
you be and
Yeah.
that's the thing. Will you
That's
be
why you
happy?
got to wait.
That's
Wait.
good because
That's why you can't settle.
Well, exactly. And Marcus always says you don't marry potential.
You don't marry.
You don't marry
Not at
potential
all.
because you marrying her or him saying, "Oh yeah, in 2 years he gonna be a doctor."
Right.
Well, if something happen, they decide they don't want to do that. When I was about to get married to Marcus, of course y'all know he sings or whatever. Everybody was like, "Oh yeah, you need to marry Luther. You need to marry Luther." For what? We don't want him to be Luther. He just sings. Like I'm not marrying him on the hopes that he gets a big contract. I'm not. You know what I'm saying? So you can't marry for potential. It's funny, but it's true. That's what they were saying. So, because we were young when we got married. So a lot of things now that we didn't think back then, but we did. You cannot marry someone off of what they are going to. You have to marry off of the right now. If he or she does not change, I wholeheartedly agree with that.
All right, now I kind of do want to switch gears and go into the career aspect of things. What if the woman is the breadwinner? Now, should she look at her significant other as less because she brings home more?
Absolutely not. Because ultimately he is the head of the household, regardless. And he's due that respect, regardless. Whatever you all have to discuss, finances and things like that, of course. But you never belittle your man. You never, because at the end of the day, he is a man, and you want him to stand up and feel that so that he can do according to your family the way that he's supposed to. And ultimately, it won't matter. Now, I might get a little what's name because some people might feel some type of way about this statement I'm about to make. But ultimately, it won't matter who the breadwinner is, because I believe that when you get married, you get a joint account. Now, count it on the side end. He has a personal. I have a personal too, because as an old person, I want to say, I call it the kitty. That's right. I got my little. That's for things that I want to do. But ultimately, we have a joint account, and that joint account pays for everything. So his money is my money is his money. It doesn't matter. But if in your mind you're thinking, oh, I'm running this thing. Then you're still holding that over his head, and that he's not going to feel like a man. And you have to understand that there has to be a trust between the two of you. And if you don't have that trust, then you break down anything that you're trying to build. The wall has been broken, and it's going to crumble along the way if you already don't have them discussions.
Well, I have another spin. What if you're making all the money and you're not financially responsible? Why are you still in charge?
Yeah.
He might be making $30,000 a year and you making 6 figures, but he's balanced how to manage that $30,000 a year. And you think because I'm 6 figures, I can spend what I want, do what I want, how I want, because I'm used to taking care of me. And now y'all done lost the house, lost the car, you get ready to go in debt. It's like you can't, just because you, we look at money as the end all, do all, be all, and it's not. it holds it together. Absolutely, we need it. I'm not going to be foolish and say, oh no, we don't need. We need money, all the money we can get, Lord. We need it. But just because you make a greater salary than him, it does not make you the man. You chose the man, and guess what? Even if he's unemployed, you chose that dud. That's on you.
Well,
And I agree that, it doesn't make you bigger, better. You should belittle him or be like, oh no, we're getting this because I said we're getting it. Everything in a marriage should be a joint. You should always discuss it no matter what it is. But I feel like you said, whoever is more responsible with finances, and you have to be honest when it comes to that, should run the finances.
Yeah.
That's who, and I agree with joint bank accounts. I agree a lot of married men don't agree with that. Yes, you can have your side, but I agree that your joint bank account so you can make sure we're paying all the bills or whatever out of this. But all of that stuff is with communication. But you should never, never, never make your husband feel like he is lower than you, he is the scum or whatever, because you chose him, you chose to say yes, you chose to say I do, and he should feel always as the man. I know some people who keep money in a drawer for their husbands just because. I don't want you to ever have to ask me for anything or anything. Just go in a drawer, get what you need, because they make more, or that's what they've chosen to do in their household, because they want the husband to feel like, yes, he is still the man. And some men making less than their wife doesn't make them feel belittled, but it's how we react and how we act that makes them feel. So we have to always check our conduct as a woman in our roles and what we're doing.
I think we
and what
say that
do.
a lot as women, and women from single, married, and working across a bunch of different, professions. But I think that's still a major issue where men are insecure. I think it really raises up for them to see a woman in a leadership place, in professionally, or making more money than them. So while they say, okay, yeah, we're going to have a joint account, or she can manage the money or whatever, I still feel like that's a great source of insecurity for a lot of men. They,
Because that's what society has taught them.
And then I think that's where what we're talking about the communication. You need to come in, and that's where it comes in where that help me, because you come in and you let them know. I mean, you have those discussions outside of the family. Like we've had discussions to say, hey, babe, listen, whenever we're talking about finances or whatever, this is what it's going to be, and you're always going to be shown as. It's about you. I'm never going to belittle you in front of my kids. I'm never going to say this and that. You know what I'm saying? But it has to be discussed between the two people so that you build up that security within him, to let him know that despite how it looks on the outside, know that I always got your back, boo. I always. And that way he knows with a surety that it don't matter what people know on the outside, my wife always going to put me first. I mean, God is first, but you know what I mean.
But you're going to know if that person is insecure before you marry him anyway.
You should.
Conversation.
In conversation and, talking about finances and different things, you're going to know before you marry that person. It's not going to be a surprise. Oh, boom, now we married. Oh, I'm insecure.
But you know what? It is a surprise to some people because when they rush through it,
Exactly.
when they're not waiting, and you don't have those conversations. And I think that's where another lack is, that a lot of couples, they don't have the conversations that are needed to move them forward. They have the conversations that they want to have, but them difficult conversations are the conversations that you need to have in order to have a good marriage.
And you need to have those while you're dating.
While you're dating. That's the whole purpose
Because,
of dating.
and you can't be offended. You can't be offended. That's the thing. We spend too much time trying to make dating like a reality show.
Yeah.
And, like it's this, we got to go on trips. We got to go out to dinner. We got to do all of this stuff. But this is somebody who, if this is someone who you're dating and you're looking forward to having a future with them for the rest of your life, then you need to date responsibly. And you need to start communicating in that dating so that you will know, again, you can date somebody the first year, everything's great. Second year, okay, I found a little changes, but it's still cool. Third year, you're like, wait a minute now.
it don't even
What
take
is
that long.
I feel like,
Like you
what
said,
is really
like you
going
said,
on?
the third year, this person still got a lot of potential in this area, but that's all they got.
Potential.
So
And we
then-
all know potential.
Potential.
That ain't it.
Right. So then you can get out at the dating phase if that's not what you want. Ideally for
Man,
you.
this some
And
good
get out in the engaged phase if that ain't what
Yeah.
you want.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes, you can.
This is
single
good. This
till
is
you
good
married.
conversation, and I wish we had more time. But unfortunately, ladies, We have to wrap up the show. We don't have enough time. To our viewers, thank you for tuning in. We will be checking your comments. Make sure you drop it in there. It's not too late. You can still go ahead, drop a few comments, drop what are your thoughts on the topics that we touched on today. We want to thank Pastor Tony Smith and Victorious Ministries International for allowing us to be a part of the vision. Until next time, bye-bye.